Setting off for the Islamic north of Nigeria, lawyer Hawa Ibrahim is travelling with her 2 children to see her client, Safiya Hussaini. We soon come across the first veiled women. A very strict form of Islam is beginning to take hold in northern Nigeria. For many people here, Osama bin Laden is regarded as a hero. Nearly all the northern provinces have introduced the Sharia.
What was your first thought when you heard that?
I thought that was crazy. Not in this century and not in Nigeria. That was just my first reaction.
Switzerland is paying part of Safiya Hussaini's legal fees, and her imminent stoning is a big problem for the Swiss ambassador in Nigeria, but politically he can do very little.
We thought about this, and we were not the only ones. The countries of the European Union, which we call like-minded countries, we got together and we thought that under the present circumstances it would be perhaps counterproductive to deliver a note to the Nigerian government for the very simple reason that the government is actually against the application of this penalty which was pronounced against Safiya Tudu.
Early the next morning, in the village of Tunda Tudu, lawyer Ibrahim greets Safiya Hussaini. She has been sentenced to death and is now under house arrest. In her arms is her daughter, Adama. Her daughter is claimed to be illegitimate, and that is why Safiya Hussaini has been convicted. The presumed father has not been charged. Mohammed Hussaini, Safiya's brother, initially doesn't want us to film. But photographs of the lawyer's first visit make him change his mind. Safiya Hussaini and her brother discuss the pending appeal. Safiya doesn't want to tell us what happened because she is afraid of jeopardizing her trial. She only tells us what she did when her brother noticed that she was pregnant. I ran away. I ran away and hid in another village. But the police looked everywhere for me. Finally, my brother showed them where I was. They arrested me immediately. Mohammed Hussaini handed over his own sister to the police. He thinks it is legitimate that adulteresses should be stoned. If the conditions of the Sharia are fulfilled, that means if 4 witnesses are present during the act, then it is right that adulteresses be sentenced to death by stoning. These 4 witnesses don't exist, however Safiya Hussaini was still convicted. It is not true. I didn't do anything wrong. They can't stone me. The lawyer hopes that her client will be acquitted. She argues that Safiya Hussaini became pregnant before the introduction of the Sharia and that the proceedings lack evidence.
They are saying the conviction is on her confessional statement, and she never made a confession. It's also a record. She didn't make a confession, so we are saying there was no confession, but say that we are convicting her on her confession. The man was freed based on the fact that there was no confession and there was no evidence to prove. And she was convicted on her own confession. We were saying there's no confession.
In the provincial capital, Sokoto, we find the judge who convicted Safiya. He doesn't want to talk about the case. He shows us the courtroom though. This is where the trial against Safiya Hussaini took place last June. Eventually he is ready to talk to us, as he explains how a stoning has to take place. A hole has to be dug. The convicted is then buried up to the waist. Then people are called for the stoning. The stones shouldn't be larger than gravel stones. People throw stones until the person is dead. The Quran does not mention stoning as a form of punishment. There are many things, crimes and punishments, that are not explicitly mentioned in the Quran, but the fact that Muhammad practiced this form of punishment is binding, and that led to its introduction. Sokoto, in northern Nigeria. 200 years ago, Arabs brought their goods here by camel, and Sokoto became Islamic. Today, 3 years after the end of the military dictatorship, the province has turned to Sharia law. The information officer here justifies stoning as a death penalty.
We see it also as cruel, lethal injection to put somebody to death slowly and so on. Hanging too can be torturous. So that's that. The emphasis is to show people that this thing is happening, so that people, shun from doing evil acts.
Half of Nigeria's 120 million inhabitants are Muslim. 40% are Christian. After the end of the military dictatorship, many Nigerians wanted more order and less corruption. But the introduction of the Sharia is harming the country's cohesion.
That's why people are yearning for Sharia. They want rectitude. They want good government. Good government, it's part of Sharia. But good government, it means that the leadership is transparent, it's not corrupt. It doesn't embezzle people's money. It does what the people want.
The information officer proudly shows us the Quranic school. Girls are taught here, but different subjects, separate from the boys. The teacher here is happy with the stricter form of Islam.
Well, the introduction of the Sharia is a very much a welcome idea to us, to the woman. It is the only system that guarantees, her freedom. Whatever, it gives her all the freedom, all the chance, all the liberty to do what she's supposed to do, but according to the will of her Creator, that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
It is in the name of Allah that Safiya Husseini is going to be stoned, and Hawa Ibrahim is worried about her client.
Is there a possibility that they really would stone her? I mean, is it just a threat, or could it really happen?
It could happen, because if they have chopped hands already, they have chopped somebody's hand. They have flogged a girl that was supposed to have committed fornication. They could stone her.
I think the federal government, President Obasanjo himself, has very clearly indicated that he would not tolerate this kind of thing. And on the other hand, it may become very difficult for the governor of Zamfara state to execute actually Safiya to be it only because of the protests worldwide. I think he will think twice before he does this.
The case is still pending, but if she is definitely convicted, I will personally take part in the stoning, that is for sure. But photographs change Choya's first visit, make him change his mind.